Hey everyone, thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to go over my line selection. Recently, one of the viewers in the comment section asked me to go over my Gamma line selection. Gamma is the brand of line that I use. Really, when it comes to line, people can be kind of confused by just all the different types, when to use what sizes, different things like that. I'm gonna try to condense it and deliver it in a simplified approach, or just the manner in which I utilize it in my everyday fishing. I'm gonna say 80% of the time I'm using fluorocarbon. And when I'm using fluorocarbon, I'm generally gonna be using Gamma Edge fluorocarbon for anything 12-pound test and up. That's what I usually want, 12 to say 20 pounds. Every once in a while I'll try 25, but 12 to 20 Gamma Edge fluorocarbon is what I reach for. And the reason that I like Gamma Edge fluorocarbon is kind of twofold. Number one, I like the shock resistance that Gamma has. I've tried a lot of different fluorocarbon lines, and when you set the hook hard, sometimes we don't mean to, but a fish might get you right when you least expect it. You just click into muscle memory and you set the hook hard. That can actually break your line by shock, specifically if it's in close proximity to where your rod is, towards where the fish is, or where your hook is. And so number one, I choose Gamma Edge because of the shock resistance, but also because of the abrasion resistance. Having a high abrasion resistance is key for me whenever I'm fishing, because I don't know what's below the surface of the water. There could be rocks, there could be wood, there could be grass, there could be just about anything. Could be rebar down there, or in some cases T-post. And so whatever's down there, I want my line to be able to handle that abrasion the best that it can. And I feel like of the lines that I've used, of the fluorocarbon that I use, the Gamma Edge does that the best. One of the trade-offs of a high abrasion resistant line is the fact that it's going to have more memory. Because it's stronger, because it's stouter, it's going to have a little bit more memory. If you know that from the front end going in, it's easier to kind of deal with it and prepare for it mentally. One of the things that I do when I'm using Gamma Edge fluorocarbon is I will spray some line treatment. I did a video on line treatments just last week, and so you might want to check that out. Spraying some line treatment on there will help you to manage it better. It'll help it to act a little bit better. But essentially, if you use a higher abrasion resistant line like Gamma Edge fluorocarbon, what you're going to have is you're going to have more memory to contend with. Everything in fishing seems like it's a trade-off. You want a stronger line, or you're going to deal with memory. You want one that's easier to work with. You're going to have less abrasion resistance, less strength, and less ability to deal with shock. So I know going in, that's a characteristic inherent in a high abrasion resistant line. And so Gamma Edge makes sense for me. I've always used your higher abrasion resistant lines because getting the bite is the key. You know, obviously you got to get that bite. But once you set the hook, basically you want to control the variables that you can. And to me, so line selection, the type of line you use, is something that you can control. And so I'm going to go with something that can handle the shock and handle the abrasion and different obstacles down there in the water. So again, can't hammer that home enough. Gamma Edge 12 to 20 pound test is what I generally use. And that's, you know, whether I'm throwing crankbaits, bladed jigs, spinner baits, you know, things like that, I'm going to go with Gamma Edge fluorocarbon. When it comes to spinning equipment, I'm generally going to go with a 10 or 12 pound test braided line. And then I'm going to put a leader. I'm going to use an FG knot. I'm going to tie a leader, and I'm going to go with Gamma Touch. Now, if I'm going to go straight fluorocarbon on a spinning rod, I'll still go with Gamma Touch. And I've done that and have done that over the years. I don't do it nearly as much anymore now. Gamma Touch has less abrasion resistance and less ability to handle shock. So it does better at handling, being on a spinning rod and it's a little more supple. It's perfect for your light line applications, and generally I'm reaching for the Gamma Touch for 10-pound test and under. So Gamma Touch, 10-pound test and under. And then when it comes to braided line, I've used a lot of different braided lines over the years, and I've just now started to throw the Gamma Torque. I like the Gamma Torque. It's available in 40 and 60. I think they even have an 80, but 40 and 60 I find is basically all I need. I'm gonna be honest with you, I like a 50-pound test braided line, and that's what I use in a lot of different situations. And when I use braid is when I'm going to be either throwing a frog or swimming a jig, a buzzbait, heavy flipping and pitching in and around vegetation. Anytime I've got to penetrate through a canopy of vegetation or any type of thing like that, then I'm gonna go with some braided line for those types of applications. And every once in a while, I'll tie 20 or 25-pound test Gamma Edge, either Edge or the Gamma leader material, Gamma Fluorocarbon leader material. I'll tie it with an FG knot junction onto my braided line. So basically I'll have, like, let's say 40 or 60-pound test braided line, and then I'll have about a 6-foot piece with a FG knot junction of 20 or 25-pound test fluorocarbon. Why do I want to do that? Generally, if I'm fishing an area that doesn't have as many targets in the water or cover to be around, or it's sparse cover, let's just say a stick up or a little bit of sparse brush, or maybe a stump here or a lay down there, I will go with braided line to a fluorocarbon leader, because fluorocarbon is transparent. Fish can't see it nearly as well as they can braid. Obviously braided line, I don't know if you can see that, it is opaque. So it has a bigger presence in silhouette in the water. And then obviously when you're talking about fluorocarbon, it's a transparent material, and so the fish can't see the fluorocarbon as much. And so when I'm pitching to isolated targets or places where there's not a lot of cover, I'll go with braid to a fluorocarbon leader. But most of the time, if I'm in that type of a situation, I'll just put on 20-pound test Gamma Edge fluorocarbon, and that will handle most of the situations that I'm gonna come in contact with. There's a time, every once in a while, I'll go with some braided line, and then I'll put some Gamma Copolymer as a leader. And when do I do that? That's when I'm gonna use, like, say, a walk the dog type presentation, a Zara spook type bait, pencil or stick type bait. That's a surface lure. Generally, it's the majority of the time it's going to be surface fishing lures, whether it's a little popper or a big walk the dog type bait, in stuff with treble hooks. When it comes to things with treble hooks, I'm going to put on a little section of this, generally about 18 inches is kind of ideal. And then I'm gonna either tie it with a blood knot or an FG knot, and that is gonna help me to keep my line on top of the water, and it works a whole lot better when I am using surface type lures. So that's basically it. Hopefully that really kind of clears some stuff up, maybe clear some of the confusion up, but essentially I want Gamma Edge fluorocarbon for 12 to 20-pound test. My 10-pound test and lighter, I want the Gamma Touch. When it comes to braid, I generally like 50 or 40 to 60-pound test Gamma Torque is great also. And then the only time that I really use copolymer is with topwater lures, and I generally use something like 14, 17, and at the heaviest 20. This is 25, but for an example purpose, I wanted to show you the package for the Gamma Copolymer. That's really the selection. That's typically all that I use when it comes to bass fishing. And really the reasons to my madness is just years of trial and error, and it's really kind of what I've settled into. I love the new technology lines. I think they make a big difference in not only the sensitivity, but the hook to land ratio, and just the overall experience of fishing and casting and doing the things you do out on the water. Thanks for tuning into the YouTube channel. If you like this video, if you got something out of it, please give me a thumbs up. And also drop a comment down below. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. If you ever use Gamma or you want to try some of it, I definitely recommend going over there and checking some of that out And then lastly, I've got some merchandise. It's Team Niggemeyer Fishing. Please go over there and check that out. It'll be in the description below. There'll be a link. I appreciate y'all. And until next time, good fishing.